Hello, it's Emma from Blue Sky Vitality and also the facilitator of the Go With The Flow yoga program. And this is our Q&A call. We're going to have one every month. And I'm going to be adding in a bit of a training session every month. So this month's session is all about stress. And I just want to have a quick chat to you about stress, how it affects the body, what happens to our body because of stress, and then also how we can manage it. And of course, everyone that's in this program knows a bit about managing stress from their yoga program and some of the other things we learn in the program. But of course, there's a lot more that we can do to manage our stress, and it's such an important thing. So let me just start by talking about, let's go back, say, 20,000 years ago to the cavemen days. And that was definitely a hunter and gatherer kind of environment that had a tribe of people who'd be wandering around looking for food, looking for, places to stay, shelter, all those types of things. So every once in a while, it'd be quite a peaceful thing. And then every once in a while, another tribe would come along, or, I like to say a saber-toothed tiger, something that would threaten the tribe would come. And a huge spike of adrenaline would happen. And the body would go into fight or flight mode, which meant that all the blood flow runs to the arms and the legs, ready to run away or to fight a perceived threat. And that means the blood flows away from the belly, away from digestion, because that's not so important, away from the brain, because we sort of want to be more instinctive rather than thinking things through too much in that saber-toothed tiger scenario. And so you fight or you flight, so run away, and then the threat's over. And that's the end of the stress. The body goes back to normal. The blood flow starts to go back to normal. So that's what used to happen, many thousands of years ago. And what's happened is our bodies, our physiological makeup hasn't changed that much in all those thousands of years, but our lifestyles are absolutely unrecognizable. So we don't have, other tribes coming to attack us. We don't have saber-toothed tigers running at us at any given moment, but we do have huge levels of stress, and it affects our bodies in exactly the same way. So what are some of the things that we're under constant stress about? One can be work. So it might be the people you work with. It might be the work that you do isn't very rewarding for you. It's not actually that, doesn't make you feel good, or, a boss from hell, that type of thing. Finances, not having enough money to do what you want to do, or feeling a bit in strife when it comes to money. Relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, long-term marriages, all those things, family dynamics. Social media is a huge one. We're constantly comparing ourselves now to what's posted on Facebook, what's posted on Instagram. And we know deep down everyone is showing their best side most of the time. And we don't know what's happening in the background. We don't know if people are putting on a second mortgage to buy that car they've got, or, completely in debt because they went away last year. So we don't know that, but we just look at it on face value and think, gosh, I'm missing out. Multiple coffees is a big one. Coffee actually reacts in the body in the same way as an adrenaline rush, as the same way as a saber-toothed tiger. So, when you have that shot of coffee, you're like, oh, that felt good. It's giving that fight or flight response to the body. So if you have a constant coffee habit, 2, 3, 4 more a day, then you're constantly putting yourself in front of a saber-toothed tiger all day long, every time. Having a bad diet, especially that sugar that we're all kind of quite addicted to, spike the blood sugar level, and it will make us respond in a stressful sort of way. Too much cardio. So if you're the type of person who's at the gym a lot and you're running a lot and you're always, really active, but you're not losing weight, especially around the belly, and I'll explain that in a moment, then it is possible that you're doing too much cardio. Because remember, back in the cavemen days, we would run from our perceived threats. That's one of the options, or fight. So if we were running away, then that's a way of telling the body that we're stressed. So if you're constantly running and it's not affecting the way you look, then perhaps your body has gone into stress mode. And I'll explain a bit more about that later. That never-ending to-do list, always something else to do. Can't go to bed now because I've still got 10 things to do. So feeling like there's, you know, a million things on your plate. Some people have chronic illnesses, like myself. I have endometriosis. I'm often in pain, but I've still got to continue on, and that adds a bit of extra stress to my life. That perfectionism. So it's not just that we've got a million things to do, but we've got to do them all perfectly every single time. Otherwise, there's no point. And another one is that type A disease, is what I call it. That real need to achieve all the time. So, I've just achieved this. That's good. I've got to move on to the next thing. We don't often stop these days to celebrate when we actually have achieved something. We've got to just move on to the next thing. So all of these things are stresses. So it's not like we have a saber-toothed tiger every few weeks, or, you know, another tribe every couple of months. We've got these things happening day in, day out, and often multiple things happening over and over and over again, and it affects the body. So we go into fight or flight mode, which is what I just explained. All the blood flow goes to the arms and the legs, away from the belly, away from the reproductive organs, away from the brain, and you end up getting a whole heap of problems. So a lot of people have digestive problems these days. That's because a lot of the time there's no blood flow, not enough blood flow to the digestive organs, so we're not able to digest our food properly. We might have that tired but wired feeling. So you're exhausted when you go to bed, but you can't sleep because there's that little part of your brain that's still a little bit awake. That constant fatigue, just feeling like you're exhausted all of the time. And that can move into, say, chronic fatigue, where you are exhausted, you know, you're physically unwell and you cannot get out of it. So, you know, if you're feeling tired all the time, you need to stop. You need to make a little circuit breaker right now so that you can move into you know, a more relaxed state. Autoimmune diseases are often caused by these fluctuations in our hormones and things when we get into our stress response. Now, cortisol is one of those hormones. We do release cortisol naturally every day. It helps us to sort of get out of bed. It peaks at about 9 a.m., so we're ready to go. But if you find you're peaking 2 in the afternoon, or peaking, you know, late in the afternoon or even in the evening, your cortisol's out of whack. So what happens is, when we've had that adrenaline rush, we're in fight or flight mode, but the stress doesn't go away. So, you know, that horrible boss or whatever that stress is doesn't go away. Then we move into a more chronic state of stress. That means we start to release more cortisol than we're supposed to when we're not stressed. And cortisol will give you that tired but wired feeling. So it'll make you feel you're tired, but you're pinging and awake at the wrong time of the day, at the end of the day instead of at the beginning of the day. And the other thing cortisol does is it encourages the body to hold on to fat around the belly. Yep, it's fasted. Because cortisol, say if we think back to the tribe men days, if you were going to be under stress for a really long period of time, you need to keep hold of that fat reserve in case you need to keep fighting. There's like a million tribes people you've got to fight. The body thinks, well, we don't know when we're going to get our next meal, so we better make sure we hold on to some fat. Of course, we don't have that problem anymore in our Western beautiful lives that we live. We've always got food, but our body doesn't know that. So it starts to retain fat, especially around the belly. So if you are retaining a lot of fat, you don't feel too bad everywhere else, but your belly's a little bit on the bigger side, then you might have a problem with cortisol, which is a classic sign of chronic stress. So yes, weight gain. And it's not just the cortisol. We often reach for food, reach for alcohol to help comfort us. So we're not really solving the actual problem. We're just making ourselves feel better with the food, with the alcohol, with the drugs, whatever it is. So that can contribute to weight gain. We all know about heart disease and how that can affect ourselves. So we don't need that added stress of thinking, oh my gosh, I might get some heart disease. And then there's hormonal problems. So when we are releasing all that extra cortisol, that extra adrenaline, the body, the liver, the liver will help to synthesize those hormones first, get those out of the system first, which means we might have too much estrogen, say for women. We're not processing through all the estrogen because we're too busy processing the junk food, the alcohol, the caffeine, the cortisol, and all of those things. And then estrogen gets way down on the list. And if you have an estrogen dominance, it can lead to things such as endometriosis. It can lead to polycystic ovarian syndrome. These things can lead to infertility, and even the hormone imbalance itself can lead to infertility without those other problems. And then it can also lead to debilitating menopause for women that are in those years of perimenopause. So there are so many other issues that will become affected because of chronic stress. And then, of course, all those things add to our stress levels. So it's really important to nip the stress in the bud as soon as we possibly can, rather than thinking, it'll go away, it'll go away. I've just got to manage the problem I've got right now, as opposed to the bigger problem, which is the chronic stress. So what can you do to manage your stress? The quickest, easiest, cheapest thing to do is to breathe deeply. Because back in the cavemen days, if you were running away from a saber-toothed tiger or you're fighting another tribesman, you don't have time to breathe deeply. You know, when you're out exercising hard and you've got that shallow breath happening, then that shallow breath is signaling to the brain, I'm under pressure, I've got to be ready to go. Whereas if you are breathing really deeply, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose, and just feeling, it doesn't have to be through the nose, it can be in and out through the mouth too, but you want to feel your chest and your belly expand as you inhale and feel them collapse as you exhale. So let's try a couple of those. You inhale, feel it expand, and exhale. Feel it contract, and again, inhale, expanding, and exhale, contracting. So we do talk a lot about this during our Go With The Flow program, but if we start to breathe deeply like that, it's a little trick for the brain. The brain goes, well, can't be that stressed if you're breathing deeply. I'm going to stop releasing all these hormones. So it's just a simple way to tell the body, I'm okay, I'm safe, let's not be stressed anymore. Might be a trick, but it's kind of the chicken and the egg. So are you stressed because of all the hormones and all the other things that are happening in your body because of the stress? Or, you know, can you switch that off by just telling the body, I'm not stressed anymore? I would recommend aiming to put, a little reminder in your calendar, in your phone, on your computer, twice a day, 3 times a day, 4 times a day, to take 5 deep breaths and just see what happens. The other thing I would recommend is to take 4 weeks off. To take 4 weeks off the caffeine. If you're a big coffee drinker, I know it's hard. I absolutely understand it. So start to cut back for a while and then see what happens if you take 4 weeks off caffeine. Just see what happens. Or if you're one of those cardio people that just go hard at the gym but you're not seeing any change in your body shape, take 4 weeks off cardio. Excuse me. Take 4 weeks off cardio. So maybe you want to do some stretching or some weight-bearing exercise instead, but give the cardio a rest. I know it's hard, but give it a rest. And the last thing is take 4 weeks off work. I'm not kidding. I would love to know if you've got if you're working in an office, how much leave have you got tucked away because you never take holidays. It's too stressful to take a holiday. You have too much to do when you get back, too much to do before you go. I know what that's like. I used to live in that environment. But one of the most amazing things I did for my health was take 4 weeks off, in between jobs, when I left one job to the other, or when I left my job altogether and moved here to Albany. Like, taking all that time off was just what I needed to break a circuit and to come back to reality and to come back to being less stressed and getting back to proper sleep and all those things. You could try an elimination diet like my cleanse detox program, just because it gives the digestive system a bit of a break. So that can be an additional stress on the body when all that digestion's not working properly. And it's an easy way to lose a couple of kilos, feel lighter and brighter and more energetic. So that's something you can definitely try just to give your body a break. Obviously, yoga, you guys are doing the yoga already, the ones in the program. And it's just a calm, you have to focus on your breath. You have to be a little bit more relaxed. You're not all up in your head thinking about the to-do list. You're focused on your body, and that's a good place to be. Also, meditation is a great way of learning to let go of things you can't control. So I do highly recommend meditation. And then things like Reiki, which I've only just come to this year, but working with your energy, releasing blocks in your energy, in your mindset, you just can't even grasp how much of a change that can make in your life when you get rid of some of these things that are holding you back. Sometimes a lot of what holds us back is all up here, and that can manifest as some energy blocks in the body. So things like Reiki, kinesiology can really help. Again, essential oils, I've recently gotten onto as well. But I cannot even explain to you how much of a change they've had in my life. They make me feel more uplifted, happy, calm, relaxed. There's so many different blends. It's creative and interesting at the same time. So trying new, I guess you could also just say try new hobbies, but I think there's something very special about essential oils. And if you need to, go and see a psychologist or go and see a coach, or go and see someone that you can talk to about these things so that you can really let go of some of the stuff you're carrying around. Some of the stress you might have doesn't need to be there anymore. It might be things from years and years ago. So if that sounds like you, don't be shy about getting this stuff off your chest, because if you can see all those things that can happen to your body because of chronic stress, I'd be asking, why wouldn't you do it? And what I really encourage is to come into your body, start feeling your body, noticing how the body feels, and rather than being all up in your head, start to really focus in on the body. So my last question for you right now is, what can you do? And most of you would be in this yoga program, but what else could you do right now, starting today, starting tonight, starting whenever you watch this? What could you do to combat your chronic stress? What's one little thing you can change or add into your life to give you that relaxation, that time away from stress, and start to reset your body and get it running the way you would like it to? So thank you very much for being here, and I look forward to hearing any feedback that you might have and chatting to you at next month's Q&A session. All right, thanks. Bye.